Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Railsplitter Athletics Report. I'm your host, Rusty Peace, and we are cruising right along through the month of December. Only 3 games each now stand in the way of the Lincoln Memorial University men's basketball team and women's basketball team between they and the holiday break. And, of course, that's coming up. Final game of 2015 for both teams will be the 19th of December, and that'll be down in Newberry, South Carolina. We'll talk about that a little bit later on tonight, as well as the other 2 games that they have on the schedule prior to that date. And we'll also talk about the week in review in terms of what has gone on with Lincoln Memorial University men's and women's basketball. Railsplitters ranked number 16 in the latest NABC poll. They're actually down a spot from a week ago, but no losses on the schedule, and that's one that I don't have an answer for. We may talk about that a little bit later on as well. Stay with us. Josh Schertz is our guest tonight on the show. We'll be back right after this on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.
Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, Subway of Harrigan and Middlesboro has your fresh interest at heart. On your way to work, try one of our mouth-watering breakfast sandwiches or flatbread omelets. If it's lunch or dinner you're after, choose from a wide selection of classic, select, or premium sandwiches that are all made specifically to order. Serving a crowd, Subway also has sandwich platters, giant subs, box lunches, and even cookie platters. Be it dine in or carry out, you can eat healthy and eat fresh at Subway. 368 Catawba Avenue in Harrigan and on the corner of the Village Square Mall, Middlesboro. You love your car or truck? Let us help you keep it clean at Soapy J's. Soapy J's has unlimited wash plans to fit every budget. Try our $5 express wash or one of our 3 monthly wash plans. The Wheel Deal, the Soapy J, or the new Blast Wax. With our monthly wash plans, if you pay with credit card, all you do is pay for the present month and your card will be billed on the first of each month. Don't forget, Soapy J's has free vacuums with any wash. Soapy J's Express Car Wash, open 7 days a week. Let us help keep your car or truck clean at Soapy J's. Soapy J's on the Cumberland Gap Parkway, Middlesboro. Whether institutional case good or architectural woodwork, Nolan Products Incorporated of Knoxville has been serving East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and Southeast Kentucky since 1958. From concept to finish, Nolan Products custom builds to the highest quality standards to meet your facility specifications while using only the finest materials available. Nolan Products has been serving and meeting the needs and requirements of general contractors and architects in East Tennessee and surrounding area for more than 55 years. Nolan Products Incorporated, 912 4th Side Street, Northeast, Knoxville.
Welcome back to the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Josh Schertz is our you're our host tonight.
I'll host.
He's the host. He's our guest tonight.
Those that can't coach host.
Yeah, well, you know, and those who can't host, well, they just make mistakes over and over. This is the Railsplitter Athletics Report, believe it or not, and I am your host, Rusty Peace, joined by LMU head men's basketball coach Josh Schertz. And Coach Schertz and his team now 7-1 on the year after several big wins since our last show. And, Coach, you know, before we go into the last week's play in detail, and, of course, about some other things that the team has been involved with this week, I want to address the situation that I did in pregame with Bluefield State's game on Wednesday night in terms of the NABC poll. I mean, 2 wins last week prior to that release of that poll on Tuesday, and yet, for whatever reason, we fall from 15 to 16 after defeating a team on the road at their house that was undefeated and was receiving votes for the top 25. We have 1 loss on the year to the team that's now number 7 in the country in that poll, yet we fall in the poll. Can you explain any of that?
Well, I think over the years, you know, it's a committee that has shown itself to lack a level of intelligence, lack logic, and to have some innate biases. And, you know, for whatever reason, it's not the first time we've kind of delved into that, but it's a committee of coaches. It's a very subjective thing. I don't think necessarily it's always very well thought out. And I don't know how they would know whether we're 16 in the country or, you know, 65 in the country or whatever. But it really doesn't make sense that you would start at 5. You would lose to the team that's number 7 in the country on the road, have 1 loss, have beat a team that's still receiving votes. Lenoir Ryan is nationally ranked in the other poll, and you would drop, and then a Coker team that was 4-1 coming in that game. So lacks logic, obviously, and so it's hard to explain the illogical because there's no rational explanation for it other than over the years with the poll, I generally come to expect that from that committee.
Well, the only reason I bring it up tonight is that, on a daily basis, I'm asked about our ranking and, why did we fall as far as we did with that loss? Why haven't we moved up more? Why did we fall when we didn't lose? And to be honest with you, in the big scheme of things, during the season, it doesn't mean a great deal. You've still got to beat the best to be the best. But in terms of things off the court, like recruiting, in terms of the way your members of your team look at the respect they're being given from the polls that are released, I mean, this, it can play a factor in some areas, and I really feel that in this case we've been done an injustice because there's just no rationale that I can come up with that would justify us dropping as far as we did with that loss, and then too falling when we don't have another loss.
Yeah, I think we try to, and then something we've talked about. I mean, inside of our program is you want to worry about things you can control, and I'm not going to let the opinion of 16 people that have obviously demonstrated over a period of time that logic and again unbiased and intelligent decision making is not a part of their DNA in that committee. Not saying everybody in that committee is that way, but that's not the way it goes. It's we got to worry about what we can control, and that's what we do between the lines, and that's obviously from a recruiting standpoint, certainly it's better to be 5 than it is 16. But again, at the end of the day, for this team, everything we hope to earn has got to be between the lines, and whatever the opinions of those committee members are, and whether that's the one poll, the COSIDA poll, or the NABC poll, it's really not relevant to anything that we're trying to do. All we want to do is go out and start playing some better basketball. And again, you got to earn everything between those lines, and certainly better to be higher than lower. But we can't control their opinions, and from my standpoint, I'm not going to let the opinion of 16 people or whatever the COSIDA thing is, affect what we're doing. Like I said, the way we're playing, at the moment, we could be 116 in the country. So, fortunately, the eye test is not a part of it. It's just, it's guesswork, and I guess throwing darts at a board and hope to whatever number you land on is where you're ranked.
Well, for the time, Railsplitters is ranked number 16 in the latest NABC poll that was released Tuesday afternoon. They're number 15 in the COSIDA poll, so they are a nationally ranked program. And since our last show, LMU played a game with Coker on Saturday. They did defeat Dan Schmatzer and his team here to improve to 3-0 in league play. I think now you've captured a win over Bluefield, a non-conference Division II opponent, which I think is a regional matchup. When you look at it, actually they're NAI. I beg your pardon. So there was a victory there on Wednesday night. Puts you at 7-1 on the year, and all in all, even through some play that has not been up to snuff in terms of what you're looking for from this team, we've been able to make the most of it.
Yeah, obviously, 7-1 is better than the inverse or anything other than 8-0. But at the end of the day, I think you're always looking at and trying to disregard results and be focused on playing well, and that's just something that we've struggled with. It's we've done things in spurts and in spots, and we've beaten some good teams, and we've shown again in snippets that this can be a really good basketball team. We've also shown that it's really tough for these guys to get up and compete and execute the way they need to, and kind of a general laissez-faire attitude towards the game until maybe they think it's necessary. So, as you can see, that pass fly out of bounds right there from Dorian. So, we have a long way to go, and we got to start focus on playing well. I know from a fan's perspective, a lot of it is based on, well, you're 7-1, so everything's good, or you're 1-7, everything's bad. And reality is, it's when you're inside of it, it's about how you're playing, and we got a long way to go in every capacity to become a good basketball team. We're far from that right now.
LMU picks up the win on Saturday over Dan Schmatzer and the Cobras. Not the best game that they've played this year, but it was good enough to get the job done here at home. And then, of course, they lace them up again on Wednesday, and they take on a Bluefield State team that came in, I beg your pardon, Bluefield College team that came in at 8-4 on the year with a lot of athleticism in their lineup and some pretty good guard play out there as well on the perimeter in Williams and a couple of those other shooters, and they were banging home the threes early.
Yeah, they were. They certainly took it to us. You know, they were the more aggressive, more determined team. They played with good energy, good physicality. They drove the ball whenever they wanted to. You know, our first group, our starting five was you know, really outside of Curtis McMillian. The other guys were in the starting group were pretty soft, pretty lethargic to come out of the game, and certainly in the second half. Second group came in, and while it doesn't have the talent the first group does, they at least you know, seem to be committed, aggressive, playing with energy, defending, doing the right things, and that's really where we moved the game from a 14-point game there in the early in the second half to a 30-point game. Was on the back of them and what they do defensively and those things. So you know, I've got to evaluate the team, find a way to kind of get guys doing the right thing, and if there's any easy solution, I would have already done it. But at the end of the day, that's what we got to figure out. We got to find a way to get these guys competing and executing at a higher level, particularly our starters who have so far, you know, like I said, just kind of, you know, more consistently than you would hope, been pretty soft, pretty lethargic in terms of coming out and playing unless they deem it to be a big game.
Coach, we got a couple of minutes left in this segment. Now, in addition to trying to improve your team's play, both on offensive and defensive end of the floor, you've kind of undergone the injury bug lately with some of your guys, and you've really not been up to 100% in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've had some guys nicked up. You know, Emmanuel Terry's been battling a leg injury, a muscle injury for 6 weeks or so. Nixon Blanc's been battling a back injury since the preseason. Obviously, you know, Curtis Webb and Tim Pierce with ankle sprains been out. So we've had to deal with a lot of that stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to play and who's available, and that's what we worry about. And the guys who are available can certainly play better than they are. And so, you know, that's where our focus is moving forward, is the guys that are available to play and those guys competing and executing at a much higher level.
It was good to see Curtis Webb back in the lineup along with Nixon Blanc in the game on Wednesday against Bluefield. And we did see Tim Pierce and Emmanuel Terry on the sideline, and we certainly hope to have them back at least at some point next week during the conference schedule when the Railsplitters travel over to Brevard and then return home Wednesday for a Wingate game with Brian Good and the Bulldogs. And then you got the closeout on Saturday over in Newberry, South Carolina against Dave Davis and the Wolves. We're going to take a time out. When we come back, we're going to talk with Josh Schertz about final exams this week, about his involvement, his team's involvement in the annual Rojo shopping spree, and about the week ahead. And it's going to be a tough one for he and his team as they look to make the turn in the schedule going into the holiday break. We're back right after this on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.
Established in 1982, Dixie Roofing Incorporated of La Follette has been the industry's leader in commercial roofing throughout Knoxville, Tennessee, and surrounding counties for more than 30 years. From medical facilities to office buildings and educational institutions, Dixie Roofing has the experience, expertise, equipment, and know-how to handle roofing needs of any commercial structure, big or small. Dixie Roofing is also on the web at www.dixieroofing.com. Dixie Roofing Incorporated.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Everywhere that we go, he makes people laugh and makes people smile, and I feel like I have that quality.
He's the one who always takes me fishing. I watch golf with him.
I watch him cook, because when I grow up, I want to be a cook too.
We have the same faces like this.
Dad is the one, when you fall, that picks you up.
That unconditional sense of presence and reassurance is really what makes him my father.
This has been a big week for the Lincoln Memorial University Athletics Department, not only on the court for Josh Schertz and Crystal Evans and their teams, but off the court as well in the classroom. Final exams going on, and a lot of concentration on that stuff. You know, you got to have your academics down. But through it all, this week, the LMU athletic teams have also been involved in an annual an event that takes place that's sponsored by a local organization to help raise money to benefit the needy children of the tri-state area with clothes and toys that they wouldn't otherwise have. And on Tuesday at that event at the Middlesboro Walmart, LMU Community TV's Ashley Hurley and myself talked to several individuals, and let's hear those comments now.
What's it like being from Greenville, South Carolina, and coming to the tri-state area and seeing something like this and the whole community helping out?
I mean, it's a little different, but it's definitely a positive influence on the little kids and me as an older kid, so I can take this back home and probably try to start something back with the community I'm in.
So what has it meant to you being here today as a student athlete at LMU and shopping with these kids?
It means a lot because, like, when they saw us and other athletes from other parts of the school, their faces lit up. So it kind of makes me feel good inside to let them know, like, they actually care and they know that we actually care how they feel and what they should come here and get.
I'm with Matt Green, LMU's athletics director. Matt, this is your first go-round as a RoHo helper, so to speak, and as doing so as an employee of Lincoln Memorial University. What do you think so far?
It's fantastic. You guys explained it to me as best as you could, but you really can't understand until you come and experience it yourself, and just to see the joy on all the kids' faces, but then to see the joy on our kids' faces and how they really enjoy mentoring these kids, taking them around, trying to do as much as they can for them. And so it's a really nice time for our kids to learn about servant leadership, but also to make the difference in some of the lives of these young people.
Tell us what your favorite part of this event is for you.
My favorite part overall is just giving them whatever they want. I mean, this is the experience. Like, I did this last year too, and it's so, like, heart-wrenching. Like, it touches you. You get to hug the kid at the end, and they don't want to let you go. Like, I love every single moment of it, every single moment.
As a former student athlete, I mean, this probably not only you, but some of the other folks who have had that opportunity gives you the idea of how fortunate you've been, and there are a lot that have a lot less.
Yeah, like, I mean, you never know what people go through, especially little kids. You know, they don't know anything. They're just so, like, they're kind of blind to the fact, you know, but people like me and other people here will reach out and, you know, help as much as we can, even though it's not my money. If I could get up in the morning and come to Walmart and just walk around and have sore feet at the end of the day, I'll take pride in that.
Pretty good comments from some LMU athletes, former athletes, and of course athletic director Matt Green. Yeah, Josh Schertz having a chuckle there while we were watching those comments that yes, folks, Stephanie Smith is 6'5", and I am almost 6 feet tall, so I was not quite that short.
I thought she was 5'7", you were 5'2", but I guess you spin it how you want, man. You look pretty short in that, though.
Coach, it is an event that has gotten to the point where those involved with it from Lincoln Memorial, it means a great deal to them.
It really does. It's nothing beats working with the kids, benefiting the kids, seeing kids that maybe weren't going to have Christmas and being able to help them provide that to them. Obviously, we could do the fun part. You and the rest of the RoHo members do all the heavy lifting. I think raised upwards of $60,000 this year for these kids, and we get the easy part, which is go take them shopping. But it's very cool for our student athletes and other players in our program, and I think across the board in LMU athletics to use that platform they have to kind of benefit others and understand how fortunate they are. I think I say this every year. I know our guys get more out of it than do the kids.
Well, I think that there are probably some parents out there that would differ from your opinion on it being the easy part, because anybody that's got kids knows that it's tough to put them in clothes all the time, find out what they like, what they don't like, and you're talking about taking care of 300. It was officially 322 children this year for a total expense of about $60,000 in 4 hours. We had thought there was going to be around 315, but there were actually 7 more children, and again, we're able to go up this year, and it's through the support and giving of people throughout the tri-state area, the area businesses that have sponsored children, and so many. I think it's probably, Coach, you've been there for quite a while now, probably the biggest turnout from the LMU athletics department that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it really was. It was across the board, and I think it's every year it feels like it's gotten more and more, and that people are more involved and more invested. And we've been doing it for the 8 years I've been here, and you just see it now where and it's what makes it more impressive to me from an LMU athletic standpoint is it's dead smack in finals week. And so these kids are getting up, taking a final at 8 a.m., then hustling over to help these kids shop, where they're getting there at 9 a.m., helping the kids shop, then getting to a final. So I think that makes it really cool and shows the commitment level on part of the student athletes and the coaches and the programs involved.
Well, without a doubt. And as a RoHo member, I want to extend my thanks to both you and to all of the other individuals from Lincoln Memorial University and surrounding area, the residents who came in and served as RoHo helpers to help these children and put a smile on their face in this holiday season. All right, Coach, we've got a week ahead coming up that's probably as tough a schedule as we've seen this year. You're going to start off with Brevard in North Carolina on Monday night, or Monday afternoon actually, and it's one of those offenses that it's a tough thing to defend. They're going to backdoor you, they're going to shoot threes, they're going to try to do some things to you that aren't the usual that you're going to deal with all year long. You come back to take on Brian Good and the Bulldogs, a team that really in the past has been a carbon copy of what we do, but they're always quality basketball. And then you're going to go down to one of the toughest places to play in the league at Newberry to close out the first half of the schedule.
Yeah, it's a brutal 3 games in 5 days. Unbelievably difficult. You start with Brevard and they're coming in, their record, you look at it and say, well, they're 1-6 or whatever they are, but they last 2 games beat North Georgia, Peach Belt team at home, took care of them, and then they go play Lenoir-Rhyne, lose by 11. We know how good Lenoir-Rhyne is, and they lose a tough game down there, 77-66. Lee does an outstanding job. He's one of the best in terms of getting the most out of his talent and playing a way they need to play to have success, and he's been outstanding. So, Lee's team, I expect Brevard to be very, very good. Brian's team, has been, over the years, we've been very similar. They actually went through a style change. They're playing totally different, playing more like offensively, like a Newberry, like an Anderson with a dribble drive, and they're coming into that game. They'll be 7-1. They're 1 loss on the road at Lenoir-Rhyne, 2 wins over top 20 teams. They beat number 6 Mount Olive, beat number 20 UNC Pembroke. Handled them both pretty easily, double figures. Again, 1 loss on the year, just beat Newberry the other night. And then, so they're one of the better teams in the region, the league. And then you got Newberry and Dave's team, which is as unique a prep as there is in our league. We got probably the 2 most unique preps in the same week, when Brevard and Newberry. So, we're going to have to handle their pressure. Newberry's got an outstanding team, beat Marshall at a Conference USA by 14. Beat Carson Newman on the road by 2, and so their pressure, the way they play. So it's going to be a very challenging week mentally and physically. We're going to have to be unbelievably good to be competitive this week and try to put ourselves in a decent position to try to get steal a game, 2 or 3 out of this week. But 3 games in 5 days, the 2 most unique preps in our league, and travel in 2 of the 3 games. So it stacks up to be very difficult. We're going to have to be very, very good in every capacity to have a chance to win.
Yeah, Brian Good over there at Wingate, one of my favorite coaches throughout the league. We get rid of Jason Taylor at Anderson, and now he comes in. He wants to do the dribble drive and change things up, make things more difficult. But in the big scheme of things, you look at the way the league is unfolding this year. I mean, Queens has got a quality ball club. Carson Newman, you know what they're going to have coming into the regular season. They're going to be right there in the mix. Wingate, you got Brevard, who throws the twist in there with the Preston offense. Lenoir-Rhyne, who's still all these teams are really, really improving, and we've talked about that, and it makes for a very difficult schedule. And not only that, I mean, teams throughout the league are just going to beat up on each other regular season.
It's going to be tough every single night. The whole deal is try to fight for as hard as you can for 40 minutes, and you have to make plays at the end to win. That's how you're successful in this league. The margins are very, very small, and you better be prepared for that coming in.
Well, big week for you next week. Want to wish you the best of luck, and it all starts Monday afternoon, 4 o'clock tip-off for the Railsplitters. Odd time. They'll take on the Tornadoes in Brevard. We'll have pregame coverage at 3:40, and Josh, I know you'll have that team ready to play.
Appreciate it, Russ. We'll see you Monday. Hope so.
Railsplitters and Tornadoes Monday. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we'll close out the show and tell you about the details of those games and what you can expect in the upcoming weeks right here on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.
It's the Old Town Grill.
The Old Town Grill is a special place where you bring more than family, more than friends. Bring a hearty appetite, because at the Old Town Grill, you'll never walk away hungry. A delicious change from the ordinary. The perfect place to bring the entire family. The best food and plenty of it. Join the fun and treat your appetite to something special.
It's the OTG.
The OTG is the place to be.
Join the Vive Broadband TV revolution. Vive gives you the freedom to choose with loads of new channels like Up TV, The Hub, The Blaze, and Cubo. Vive's Watch TV Everywhere feature gives you the freedom to watch participating channels just about anywhere, anytime, on any device. And Vive Broadband Speed gives you the freedom to power internet TV services like Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, and Google Chromecast. Join the TV revolution at vivebroadband.com.
If I got to go to college, oh my goodness. I like discovering new things. You get to see what works for you and what doesn't. That helps you evolve as a person. And you get to make like a supernova of skill or talent or whatever it is. I've always wanted to go to college. I just feel like that's my destiny. My name is Queen, and I am your dividend.
Special thanks to Josh Schertz, as he was our guest on tonight's show, and we'll hopefully have Crystal Evans in here next week as well. You know, when I talked about that strange starting time on Monday, obviously the Railsplitters aren't accustomed to playing on Mondays in conference play, much less at 4 o'clock. But pregame coverage begins on WLMU 91.3 FM, our flagship radio station, at 3:40. We'll have tip-off slated for 4 o'clock. Then, of course, immediately following that, Crystal Evans and her team will take on the Tornadoes, and we'll close out the broadcast with them on the floor and then in the post-game wrap-up. Wednesday, of course, Wingate here at home. That's the final home game of 2015, so you don't want to miss it. Check the LMU Athletics website for the game sponsor, and you can obtain free tickets to the contest if you'd like to come out and show your support for the LMU basketball teams. Then, of course, on the road following Saturday, Newberry. Now, coming up a couple of weeks from now, we're going to be talking with the president of the RoHo organization, Bill Dean, about the annual RoHo shopping spree, which has already taken place, and about LMU's involvement with that event. We got a lot of great footage of those kids over there really having a Merry Christmas, 322 of them, so you don't want to miss that. That's going to be Thursday before Christmas and Thursday before New Year's, so make sure that you check out the Railsplitter Athletics Report. That's about all the time we have for tonight. To keep up to date on LMU Athletics, pull up the LMU Athletics website, www.lmurailsplitters.com. Until next week, I'm Rusty Peace for the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Good night, everybody.